Like Swati said, this is meant to be a policy dialogue on responsible business practices between two very important partners, India and Japan. The session examines policy and regulatory drivers in support of companies navigating both the Indian and Japanese markets. We have a lot of companies here who are Japanese subsidiaries operating in India, and a lot of other Indian suppliers as well who are interfacing with Japanese companies. And the intention is to promote dialogue on pathways for responsible trade, investment, and supply chain. The session will aim to identify policy, regulatory, and trade enablers that can support sustainable, resilient, and inclusive growth, strengthen bilateral trade between India and Japan through responsible business practices, and create future-ready supply chains. The dialogue will be a multi-stakeholder dialogue between government, industry bodies, and the private sector, as you can see is represented on our panel, on emerging challenges and best practices in responsible trade and investment, and highlight practical pathways for Japanese and Indian businesses to implement supply chain due diligence across value chain. In a nutshell, it will be a session which focuses on practical realities and practical solutions for businesses to thrive and create sustainable business models. With that, I would like to now first invite Dr. Angela Lusigi, UNDP India resident representative, to deliver the opening remarks and kick off the dialogue. Over to you, Angela.
Thank you, Nusrat. Good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the India-Japan Policy Dialogue on Sustainable Business and Supply Chain Practices, held under the CII Partnership Summit 2025. UNDP is honored to join this flagship event as an institutional partner, and thanks CII for its continued collaboration. Allow me to extend my warm greetings to Dr. N. Yuvaraj, Secretary, Industries and Commerce and Food Processing Department, Government of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Kaoru Shiraishi, Director General of JETRO, Chennai, Mr. Rajesh Mittal, President and Managing Director, Isuzu Motors, India Limited, Mr. Murali Krishna Ganamani, Chairman, CII Andhra Pradesh, and Mr. Nishant Arya, Vice Chairman, JBM Group. And of course, all our distinguished representatives from the Japanese and Indian industry. Now, why does this conversation matter? It matters because India-Japan partnership has always been grounded in trust, long-term investment, and shared purpose. Japan remains one of India's most important economic partners. Between April 2000 and September 2024, the cumulative Japanese FDI into India reached over $43 billion US. And today, more than 1,400 Japanese companies operate across the country. They are contributing to manufacturing strength, services, skills development, and technology diffusion across sectors such as automotive, electronics, precision engineering, textile, and logistics. But we also know that resilience in trade and investment today is not only a question of scale. It is shaped by how supply chains treat people, the conditions under which goods are produced, and whether economic opportunities are shared fairly. Around the world, we see companies recognizing this, and I would like to quote a recent JETRO survey that shows that many Japanese firms are strengthening supplier engagement, diversifying procurement, and integrated risk mapping to build more resilient supply chains. At the same time, a CII study from 2022 found that 70% of Japanese companies in India acknowledge human rights risks in their supply chains. only 1 in 4 currently have formal due diligence systems in place. So this gap is not about intention. It is about the tools and the support needed to translate principles into practice. And that is why our dialogue today is timely. It allows us to ask together, what does responsible and resilient business look like in real operating conditions? Not as a statement, but as a daily practice. At UNDP, we are walking this journey, and we approach this through the Business and Human Rights Program, supported by the government of Japan. And since 2022, the program has worked across 20 countries, engaging over 20,000 stakeholders, training more than 2,500 businesses, and supporting policy progress in more than 15 countries. Here in India, we are working closely with Japanese and Indian companies and with partners such as CII, JETRO, and GCCII. Through the Business and Human Rights Academy, we have trained over 1,000 business representatives. And what we hear constantly from these businesses is that the commitment exists. The challenge is often in understanding how to go deeper into supply chains, including beyond Tier 1 suppliers, where vulnerabilities and risks are most concentrated. So this is about time to learn how to navigate this evolving regulatory landscape. In India, we have the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting Framework, which is setting clear expectations. In Japan, we have the guidelines on responsible supply chains, along with the preparation of the second National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, which are all aligned to the UN guiding principles. So both countries are moving in a similar direction towards transparency, ethical conduct, and long-term value. We had a C-suite roundtable this morning where one theme came out very clearly. Businesses are no longer viewing sustainability and responsibility as compliance. They are seeing them as drivers of resilience, innovation, and trust. And companies that build responsibility into how they source, hire, and operate are the ones best positioned for the future. They're able to adapt to new markets, they're able to attract investment, and they're able to strengthen brand reputation. So there are key opportunities for multi-stakeholder action, and I'm sure the panel will go into this a little bit later. I would like to highlight 3 areas where collaboration can move us forward. First, continued alignment between India and Japan on responsible business frameworks, including how due diligence and ESG reporting are understood and implemented. Secondly, strengthening supplier and MSME capacity, especially MSME capacity. Many Indian businesses have the talent and they have the potential to meet global sustainability standards, but they may need access to training, financing, and market mentorship to do so. Third, fostering innovation that brings together Japan's technological strengths and India's entrepreneurial dynamism. Joint innovation can create models of growth that are not only resilient, but also inclusive and sustainable. So in closing, I wish to let you know, as UNDP, we remain committed to supporting this journey. We will continue to facilitate dialogue, bring global experience, and provide practical tools that make responsible business easier to act on. Let me close by saying that responsible business is not just about good ethics. It is good economics. It strengthens competitiveness. It builds trust between partners. And it ensures that development leaves no one behind. I look forward to our discussion, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Angela. I think, thank you for articulating so well the shared journey of the 2 countries on responsible business and the shared priorities. I think it really, and the last line, which that responsible business doesn't just make good sense, but also good economics, and it's a good business strategic investment. So thank you for your opening remarks. I would now like to invite Dr. N. Yuvraj, Secretary, Industries and Commerce and Food Processing Department, Government of Andhra Pradesh, to articulate for us a perspective which is very important, that of the government, in this case, Government of Andhra Pradesh, and perhaps through extension, the Government of India as well, on responsible business. Welcome, sir.
So, good afternoon to all of you. I think post-lunch session will be very difficult to sit idle. Hai na? Okay, so anyway, so to the resident representatives, Dr. Angela Lucigi, UNDP India, and also DG Jetro, Chennai, Mr. Kairu Siraishi, my friend, good friend, and also Rajesh Mittalji, Murali Krishna, Ganamani, you came finally, okay. Nishan Daria ji, just we met, and also Nasrat. Thank you for connecting. So we are happy to have you all here, and first of all, Honorable CM has thanked all of you, all the representatives from various countries. Almost we had a representative from 62 countries today to this session, and also Japan has come in very good number. So first of all, we thank Japan for having reposing the confidence on the state and coming in huge numbers. We are very happy. I was told by Dr. Angela that we had a lot of Japanese companies in our state, in Sri City and other places also, and we see some old friends here who are here with us, including Rajesh Mittalji's companies and other people also. So now on the topic of responsible business practices, so I just wanted to, from the government perspective, I wanted to put 2-3 things. What Dr. Angela Lucigi has highlighted in her speech, that we should have a framework. We should have a framework under which it can be articulated well, and it can be controlled, and it can be implemented also. So government is interested, and also yes, a lot of industries including MSMEs are interested, but maybe MSMEs may be requiring some support from the government so that they can be able to stabilize on that particular front. That's the first one from my side. Second thing is the overall policies. Once the government to government framework has been happening, like most of the countries, India is also a union of states, so states will have their own policies. So now we have to have a overarching policy framework under which the state government has to go for both sustainable as well as responsible practices, where how it can be implemented. It is not possible only by the government arms, it is not possible only by the industry also, it should be a mutually arrived things. So now most of the policies in India as well as in the states are implemented by having a huge consultation with the stakeholders, industries only. Okay, so now the role of the industry is much more. So I have done a stint of requested by Nasrat. So I have done a stint of 7 years in Government of India. So now what I feel is what we require here is an extensive consultation process, and some of the industry association maybe at the MSME levels, they require a lot of handholdings. So the bigger industries who are taking the service of these MSMEs has to handhold them and the association to see that how we can move for these responsible and sustainable practices. It did not come free. It involved cost, it involved money, okay, involved knowledge, it involved technology. So how the bigger companies are going to contribute for this particular technology transfers and also capacity building of the MSME is more important. Otherwise, some industry will implement, other industry will not implement. There will be blame game starts within the government as well as within the industry faculty. So it should be a all-inclusive, the word rightly used by Dr. Angela Lucigi, that it should be inclusive one, where the bigger industries should come forward to handhold the MSMEs also. And in this regard, because we have DG Jetro, we have lot to learn from Japan. So Japan has to come forward to see that how the MSMEs in the state can be handled. It can be a technical support, it can be a knowledge transfer, it can be a technology transfer, to see that it can be done. Luckily in our states, under the leadership of our present CM, we have a survey of all the MSMEs. We have almost like 1 million MSMEs in the state, which has been surveyed. We know their door number, we know their GPS location, we know what product they're manufacturing, what is their technical needs, what is their skill needs, we have mapped it. So now this is a huge information or data which can be utilized better. If UNDP or Japan is coming forward, we can have a formal discussion in this regard to see that how we can improve our this towards developing this particular framework. Government of AP will be very happy to associate with both with the CII and also Japan, JETRO, and also UNDP if required, to see that how this responsible practices framework can be started first with some sectors, then we can expand to all other sectors also, so that we can able to give a model to the country also. We are very happy. And also, like told by in the morning session by all the dignitaries, including Honorable Vice President of India, the technology and the innovation is going to play a major role in the coming years for all the industries, and it has a major role in sustainability. It has a major role in sustainability, so we should have to adopt that one also. And last but not least, we have already been indicated by the time or the earth during COVID situation about the need for having a sustainable and responsible manufacturing practices. If we are able to deviate now, it will be another big lesson which the entire humanity has to pay. So let us take this forward quickly. 4 points to close. 1, broad framework at the country level, policy framework at the state level. 2, lot of hand-holding required for the MSME so that they can also able to rise to the occasion. 3, it is not free of cost, it involves cost and budget. So bigger industries and government have to come together to see that all rise to the that responsible framework. And number 4, Japan, they have to give lot of support to the other countries including India, and we are ready, Andhra, so we can have a framework and understanding to move forward also. Thank you very much for the opportunity. CII, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yuvraj. That was, I think you very perfectly summed up a lot of important points in your speech. But I think I'll highlight one, which is inviting a multi-stakeholder approach to this conversation. It's very important to involve MSMEs and other stakeholders in devising the path for responsible business. And I think creating frameworks at national level but also state level which work with local contexts are always very useful. And thank you, sir. UNDP remains available to support CII, the state government of Andhra Pradesh, and of course JETRO in furthering responsible business actions. So thank you. Thank you so much. I would now like to invite Mr. Kauru Shirashi, Director General, JETRO, Chennai, for a special address. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kaoru Shiraishi, working for JETRO, Investment and Trade Promotion Agency of Japanese government. Now, thank you very much for your giving me an opportunity to have this stage. Well, I'm great privilege to have these remarks here today. And listening the Dr. Angela's beautiful and excellent remarks, well, we could understand that the idea and concept of these sessions. And broadly, she already gave that how do we move on to forward. While my presentation, and Yuvraj-san already left, unfortunately, but he gave a good presentation about the government role, and what I was impressed is that the role or that creating that framework to technology transfer to big companies to MSME. While my presentation entitled Outlook of Japanese Investment in India. Today, my point of view, I more focus on that Japanese activities in India or Andhra Pradesh. So maybe we may have some kind of idea to attract or to connect Indian company and Japanese company. Well, in short, my presentation, now is that Japanese companies have a hot eye on India and very eager to have a business opportunity, make a business with Indian companies. While how do we connect those Japanese companies and Indian companies is probably one issue we should tackle on. And that UNDP, CII, and ourselves JETRO, or such organization have a lot of things to do. So I want to have your idea today in this session. My time is only 8 minutes, so I keep on forwarded to my presentations. My presentation is like consists of 5 areas: business conditions and global business environment and Japanese companies in Andhra Pradesh. And my most important thing is that the suggestions is number 4. And if time remains, I explain about or introduce what is JETRO. Now, in India, we have almost 104,000 companies are operating in India. Look at this, from up now to 1,000. And here in Andhra Pradesh, we have Ezai and Kobelco, Daikin, and Unicharm. Yokohama is a tire company, and Nidec is a motor company, well known. And Panasonic is also manufacturing site here. Now, business conditions of Japanese companies in India, very good. 77.7% of Japanese companies in India expressed profit in fiscal year 2024. In China, well, contrary, in China, 58% of Japanese companies expect profit, down 1.9. So China is getting down while India is getting up. And India is third, the ranked in expecting profit in fiscal year 2024 amongst the Asian Pacific. So that India's presence is getting up. And profitable companies increasing in India. See that, as I told, that China is, that the profitability is getting down while India is picking up. During 2009 to 2015, the percentage of profitable companies in India was around less than 50. But after COVID, there was a turnaround. In 2022, India surpassed China. So now that in India, that the business environment probably much better than China. And that's one of the reasons why Japanese companies have hot eye on India. Now, shall we look around at the global business or world, global business environment, and Japanese companies in India? Well, no need to say that the global business environment dramatically changed after COVID. The necessity of reviewing the supply chain needs to respond to the risk of economic security and economic conflicts such as US-China trade friction or the stabilization of regional order, that is Russia's invasion of Ukraine, or COVID, and human rights and environment protection and national security. And US President Trump's policy will accelerate, I think, revision of global strategy and risk management. So now, securing multiple sources of supply chain is necessary, and diversification of products base is happen, and revision of supply chain is now underway. When we think about the companies that nature to have business, the factors that determine company strategy, that is, make it simple, I pick up 5.5 factors. Production cost, probably that the company tends to go the lower cost places, but not always low labor cost is not always the top priority. And delivery or destination is also the factor. Production in vicinity is a market, is very important. And procurement and protection of intellectual property rights and international relations is also important. Now, in India, Japanese companies to expand their business is increasing. So India, look at this bar graph, India took lead with 80% 9.3% of Japanese companies considering business expansion within the country. On the other hand, contrary, the China is now hit a new record low. So the attractiveness, China's attractiveness is getting down. And expansion intentions, India is dramatically increasing, very different between among the Asian countries and China. But when we look at the Andhra Pradesh, and the Japanese companies in Andhra Pradesh, the investment is very minimal. Well, especially during the time of 1924, the foreign direct investment is very, very stay in low. Well, I heard that the Andhra Pradesh government is decreasing or that the small, make it small, that the trade promotion and the investment promotion agency. That's one of the reasons that the Andhra Pradesh could not get that much foreign direct investment. Here, the Japanese companies in Andhra Pradesh, more than 80% of Japanese investments are located around the three cities. That is located at the border of the Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Well, that maybe implies something. Why that the Japanese company are concentrated and clustered in three cities, or the border of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Here, I pick up that the recent investment to Andhra Pradesh by Japanese companies. Those are mostly going to the three city industrial site. So in my conclusion, suggestion is as follows. The recognition of importance of FDI. Although that Yuwaraji-san already left, but this is the government responsibility. The creating employment and regular income for employees, technology transfer, multiple effect of supply chain, good products, service at reasonable price for consumers. That is the benefit of foreign direct investment. So that the Andhra Pradesh AP state government should recognize the importance of foreign direct investment, what lowering the companies, not only Japanese, but any other companies. Second, reviewing existing operating companies' performance. If, unless otherwise, that the existing companies, their performance is not good, then follower is not come. Or if existing companies is not happy, then why new fresh investments coming into that Andhra Pradesh? And of course, we need good infrastructure and incentives and policy. Once that the government commits the incentives, they must fulfill and complete their incentives and promotion and campaigns. Well, this is also the organization or the government activities, that policy, incentive, infrastructure, power, water, logistics, industrial side is very important. And social infrastructure. Well, for us Japanese, living condition, well, not only Japanese, but foreign nationals, living condition for foreigners is very important. So may I suggest here that the Andhra Pradesh government should provide good living conditions, including transportation. That is direct flight from Japan to Andhra Pradesh. Here, I conclude my presentation, advantage and challenges for Japanese companies. Well, you may see that here, or you may think same thing to make a business or doing business in India. Same thing, what a foreign company face more difficulties doing this. So we should tackle on this and minimize or decrease those difficulties. And I, in this arena, I'm very happy to have good ideas to solve these disadvantage. And this, probably my time is already lapsed, so I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shiryashi, for your... Hello? Thank you so much for your address and for really laying down the landscape of Japanese companies and investment in India. I would now like to actually move on to the panel discussion, which is where we do a lot of the practical unpacking with three panelists thank you, Angela, and thank you, Mr. Shiryashi. You may if you are comfortable sitting here, please continue sitting here, or you may sit down below. Dr. Okay. Dr. Murli, Mr. Murli, I'm told that you can stay, or do you have to leave? Okay, so maybe I'll start with you in the panel discussion. I think this panel discussion is not about broad statements and commitments, but we really want to emphasize on practical solutions. And your role as the chairperson of the CII Andhra Pradesh chapter, I would like to invite your perspective of an industry body with such a vast membership and the support that you offer to the membership. So from CIIF's perspective, how do you think Indian industry bodies can help create an ecosystem where responsible business practices are not only limited to large companies, but actually trickle down to smaller companies, MSMEs, supplier networks, linking sustainability with competitiveness and industrial growth? Over to you, Mr. Murli. Oh, okay, you want to give an address, okay.
Well, that's because the CII protocol, and I also have to represent both the state as well as the country. And so once again, it's such a honor, such a privilege to be part of this eminent panel, most distinguished. And again, it was so nice to listen to Ms. Angela, UNDP representative. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. Likewise, Mr. Cairo from JETRO. It was truly a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir. And again, of course, our secretary, Mr. Yuvraj, is missing. And of course, he shared his perspective as well. And again, I'm joined by good friend, Mr. Rajesh Mittal, and again, Nishant Arya. Thank you so much. Well, if you see both our countries, Japan and India, we share a great foundation of trust and collaboration. And I think our relationship, both diplomatically as well as trade, it's historical. We've been, great partners in progress for a very, very long time. And this is built over decades, both in manufacturing, technology, infrastructure, so which we are very, very proud of. And again, in AP, although Mr. Cairo pointed out that we have only 18 companies so far, and most of them are in 3 cities, I suppose, including Mr. Isuzu, Mr. Rajesh Mittal's company. But I'm sure we'll get there. We'll beat many, many other states, by large numbers very soon. But I think, today's context, demands that we take partnerships to the next level, and one that is guided not just by efficiency, but by responsibility, which has come out very clearly. And I have to share my experience. I run a technology company by name Fluent Grid, and we are one of the early companies for the UNGC Compact, although not directly connected, but we are UN Global Compact. The 10 principles really drive us, and we see a whole lot of competitive advantage in doing that. Now, if we have to work with the European companies, some of our European clients, they insist for these kind of ESG norms, and also it helps us to be competitive. And of course, it does take some investment, but I think it is more than investment. It is investment in the right direction to stay competitive. Stay not just being responsible in terms of compliances, but I think in terms of being competitive. And today, the technology is making it very affordable, the kind of technology that we have. And AP has been way ahead in terms of technology adoption, primarily in the digital transformation or the digital, I would say, governance area. That would help create more transparency. And our Honorable CM and Mr. Lokesh, always talks about how to embrace technology and go, way beyond, a step beyond, including the likes of the frontier technologies of AI and all that. So if you leverage technology, I think it will become very affordable. I don't think there is a barrier at all. And when it comes to frameworks, yes, CII has a whole lot of center of excellences. which we are very proud of. We engage with a lot of our members in terms of building capacity, training, and all that good things that we do, including some of these ESG skills. So I think this is a more of a investment, more than responsibility. It's I think investment in the right direction. And in terms of supply chains, if you see, the same principles can be applied across industrial supply chains, enabling data-driven due diligence. So now we can leverage data to our, to see how we can bring the transparency, responsible sourcing, and measurable sustainable outcomes. And from a policy perspective, India, Japan can create a very cooperative framework, a catalytic role, wherein we can have a joint frameworks for responsible investment and trade that recognize both countries' standards and make compliance simpler for businesses. Second, on the capacity building programs for MSME that you touched, Nusrat, I think the local suppliers, they can meet global due diligence expectations and become part of the responsible global value chains. And technology partnerships, that can go a long way. I, coming from a technology background, I would emphasize on that where Japan's manufacturing excellence, India's digital leadership, you have great manufacturing excellence. In fact, we look up to Japan for all those precision engineering, those principles of the Japanese principles, and the passion. So I think AP can be your best partner in this, and this is where I'm saying very confidently that 18 can become 3-digit number very soon. And we bring all that, good combination, in terms of synergy. If you look at it, we have all that good things. We have a great leadership, a dynamic, very visionary leadership who wants to go really, unlock the potential of this region in a good way, in a very responsible way. And the ease of doing business or the speed of doing business primarily reflects that transparency that we are talking about today, right? Our Honorable Chief Minister and our Mr. Lokesh, they're very pro ease of doing business, primarily to enhance the transparency. So that way, it's I think a great win-win for both Japan and AP. And we have a great port-led infrastructure, right? All your industries can be much more competitive. We have a world-class port-led infrastructure. We have, again, I take your point very seriously, the connectivity between Japan and AP has to improve. So I think from your office also, of course, you need to make a move. But then, once you take, once we see growth potential and a promising growth coming from this economic region, our CM, in fact, was recently mentioning that we want to have Japan dedicated industrial park. You must have heard about it. Just like Sri City, we want to dedicate an industrial zone only for Japan. So all these things, the connectivity will definitely improve. We already have a great port-led infrastructure. We have a policy, a very favorable policy framework, and a great visionary leadership. So we have everything, and we have the digital advantage. We have great skill talent. The digital, AP is truly very proud of their digital capacity. And Japan, with the precision engineering, your principles and your passion for believing in all those good values. So I think it's truly a win-win for both of us. And we are going to beat many states. In fact, I was just telling jokingly Rajesh. So I think now Mr. Kauro has opened a challenge for us. Now let's see how we can beat that. And in closing, I think I would emphasize that responsible business is not just cost, it's a competitive strategy. I would again emphasize on that. And it builds trust, attracts better partnerships, and ensures resilience in times of disruptions, especially like the COVID that we have experienced. And India and Japan have both proven long-term value creation, comes from doing things the right way, like I said. And if we bring the shared philosophy into trade and supply chain collaborations, we won't just strengthen bilateral ties, we'll set a benchmark for sustainable global business for a long term. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Murli, and thank you for squeezing in your remarks in a very busy day. I think the key point that you made, doing things the right way, and I think this conversation is exactly about that. I'll now move to, I have two private sector voices on this dais today. One of them is a Japanese, one of them is a Japanese company, is a subsidiary. Thank you so much, Mr. Murli. One of them is a subsidiary of a Japanese corporation, a very well-known corporation, and another one is an Indian company, also scaling heights globally with global operations. If I may first turn to Mr. Rajesh Mittal, President and Managing Director, Isuzu Motors India Private Limited, and if I could nudge you to reflect from a Japanese private sector perspective, a company with Japanese roots and has operations in India. How do you think Japanese companies are prioritizing responsible business practices in areas such as environment, labor, within the India operations and supply chain? And what lessons can be shared to guide peers and partners in deepening responsible business trade between these two countries?
Thank you, Nusrat, for your question. Am I audible?
Yes.
So before I explain some of the learnings or what we can learn from Japanese company or how to enhance trade, first we need to understand that India and Japan are culturally very different. Like if you visit Japan, they are socially so responsible. Like any social behavior, you expect that somebody else will follow. You never expect that certain behavior will not be done. On the contrary, in India, even if there are some systems and processes, the moment police is not there, we'll cross the red light also. So culturally, we are totally different. At one end, Japanese people are so much aligned to processes and systems, and we are not that much aligned. In fact, we think it is an innovation of doing jugaad or doing
Yes, we
things
spoke about
in
that.
our own way. So I think there is one very big cultural difference. Second thing, Japan is very strong in engineering processes and technology. So that is what they bring on table. On the other hand, India has scale. We are 1.4 billion people. It's such a vast country, growing country, so much of opportunity. And Indians bring speed also. We are very action oriented. Even the way we speak, sometimes Japanese colleagues tell me, slow down, because we are very quick and fast in our action. So that is the advantage Japanese companies have, that they can get big market, big growth opportunities here. Now, what beauty Japanese company brings with them, that they are very humble and polite also. So they have unique ability to create a responsible manufacturing or responsible supply chain. Because Indians are very easy to teach. We are very open to learn. But then the teacher should have a lot of patience and such processes where you can groom these people. I have seen in my company, the same Indian people, 80% employees are from Andhra Pradesh, and we have almost 25% women, girls working on our shop floor, and they all are diploma holders. And the way our Japanese expats have trained them, because they are indefatigable, they don't get tired, but they will never compromise. Unless you create a zero defect mindset, perfect quality mindset, perfect safety mindset, they will keep the line shut. They have no compulsion to produce. So I think that kind of resilience and patience what Japanese company have to train our people truly makes things responsible. I'll share 4 simple principles we practice in Isuzu. First, they teach our employees who work on the shop floor, don't accept defects. So parts will come from a supplier, so don't accept a bad part. That is the first step they teach. Second thing, then don't make defects. Whatever you are producing, it should be zero defect. The third step they teach is don't pass defect. So don't give a bad part to the next station. Even if you have not produced, you see something wrong, don't pass. And the last stage they teach is cannot make defect. Do full proofing. They call it Pokayo case. So make a workstation in such a way that you cannot produce defect even if you want. So they have so much of patience on engineering processes and on training that they are able to create responsible citizens to produce zero defect quality. And normally in our Indian company, like I have 41 years of work ex and I have worked in so many Indian companies also, our first priority is cost, then delivery, then quality, and last safety. Japanese company work opposite. Safety, quality, delivery, cost. Their belief is if you are safe, if your quality is zero defect, cost will automatically be low and delivery will be secure. So I think it's an entire mindset difference. And the beauty of why Japanese companies are so successful in India, because they have that much of capability and patience to train people to become like Japanese. And if you visit a Isuzu plant, it is no less than a Japanese plant.
Right.
And we produce zero defect vehicles from there. And today we are the largest exporter of commercial vehicle from India, from Sri City, make in Sri City vehicles, which is sold in GCC country.
Right.
And that is produced by all Andhra girls and
that's
the boys.
fantastic.
So
That's
that is
fantastic.
one example. Then you talked about supply chain. In supply chain, the biggest challenge is Indian suppliers are good. We have different kind of suppliers. We have A category, B category, C category. Even if you choose A category supplier, our suppliers are very smart investors, very good entrepreneurs. So they will go extra mile to get the business and to produce a zero defect part. But the challenge comes, is it sustainable? So do they produce that every day? Do they produce it going forward? So even if you sign a sustainability agreement or say for human rights agreement or zero quality agreement, but do they follow it every day? And if a supplier follows, does his tier 1 or tier 2 follows? So I think those are the challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But again, you see the way they operate. They will never lose patience. If a supplier creates a problem, a team of experts will go there. They will study each and every of their process. They will try to do same thing. Don't make defect, don't pass defect, cannot make defect. They will adopt all those policies at the supplier's end, make them foolproof and come back.
Yes.
And if they don't improve, then they change the supplier. But there is no question of compromise. So if you are talking of responsible manufacturing and responsible supply chain, we have a lot to learn from Japanese company.
Absolutely.
And that is what Isuzu is proud of in India.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mittal, and thank you for sort of emphasizing. It's also it's a long, patient journey, and one should never underestimate the value of repeating these values constantly and constantly reminding ourselves and suppliers, because I think as time progresses, you do sort of make progress, even if it's baby steps, but progress happens. Internalization of safety, quality, all of this happens in the longer term. Thank you so much. If I may now turn to Nishant, Nishant is the vice chairperson of JBM Group, and if I may invite your perspective from an Indian company's perspective on how do you adapt your practices in meeting the stringent sustainability standards that are emerging in Japan, but also other, we spoke about your operations being in other continents, the EU, the US. So as an Indian company, how are you building your systems to meet the global standards of sustainability to make your business thrive and more resilient?
Yeah, I think, I'll start from the automotive industry. So I'll start like how Japan has been a great teacher for India at the basic root learning of the Indian industry, where starting from when Suzuki came to India about 40 years back, and starting from a cluster approach and starting to see that how ecosystem mindset is there, where OEM and supply chain is getting built, and where they are bringing in concepts like Kanban, Nagare, just in time, and seeing that a lot of such basic fundamentals. So I think Japanese approach of back to basics and doing it right every day is something very essential and important. At the same time, what is critical is that how are you driving competitiveness? So I think the ethos of our organization, what we have learned is competitiveness, and I would bring in 5 aspects of competitiveness. So first and foremost is to see that first time right, every time right approach, which is very clear. Secondly, looking at technology driving value. I think many Indian companies definitely believe that having dependence upon others for technology is important to start, but seeing that in the longer term, how are they able to invest engineer, develop global products is very important. So investment in technology by majority of Indian companies is 0.5% or less than 1% or even lower than that of their revenue. So we as an organization today see that 3 to 4% of our revenue we invest in technology and engineering area. So that gives us an edge, and I think that's very essential today to differentiate yourself from others, because we are not looking to build cheap products. We are looking to build very competitive and total cost of ownership driven products. So that's my third point. So approach should not be cheap products but TCO oriented. So there one has to understand what is the life cycle of a product. How are you able to ensure that the customer experience and the end user experience is being taken care of, and being in the electric vehicle business and providing EV ecosystem. So we have to see that how are we ensuring and working with our customers and all the stakeholders in the ecosystem to educate them, support them in this transition, and make them realize how it is essential to see the total cost of ownership in the longer term. And with that, I stem to the fourth point. So seeing that how a user of any technology is having a very high level of awareness, and they are responsible citizens, and they are understanding. And I think especially after COVID, I would say all of us understand the importance of health and environment way more than we used to appreciate before, and that's the social fabric change which we all have gone through. So therefore it becomes important that how any action, any decision which is being taken by us today is being driven partially by this particular focus area of awareness, health, environment, social impact, and being a responsible citizen, whether as an individual or as an organization, and seeing holistic growth, not individualistic growth. So that is what our organization has tried to do. And in small things, whether we look at recycling, whether we look at ensuring that the whole supply chain and the ecosystem becomes self-sustainable, we are able to reduce the carbon footprint. I think those have been certain very important focus areas. Fifth point from my side is that clearly one has to understand that scale and size is something which is very essential today to drive competitiveness. So when you are setting up something, so looking at a long-term outlook, think global, act local is our mantra as an organization. Because I personally believe that having a global perspective is very essential, so one should not think small, and that is what we have tried to do, being present in about 37 countries now across the world, whether North America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, other than India. That has been very instrumental in redefining our organization. But at the same time, acting local is very important, because local people in every country understand the local nuances, the local fundamentals which are important to them. So a global approach with the local teams is something which we always believed in, and that is where the scale and size also enhances multifold. And there we have seen that global partnerships become very important. So we have had the privilege of working with global institutions like World Bank subsidiary IFC, or Asian Development Bank, Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, and many global sovereigns and MFIs and DFIs very closely. And a huge learning has happened from that outlook. And above all of these things, a very critical part which is the soul of any organization going forward is the focus on today ESG and corporate governance. So that is something which redefines the organization, which has a clear-cut purpose, and which differentiates one from the other very clearly. And this accelerated learning in the last few decades, I think, has become the cornerstone of our organization, which I believe every organization should see that how they could develop and how they could institutionalize in their own case.
No, thank you, and thank you for highlighting the growing role of good corporate governance and the trend and investment that companies are making in good ESG practices. And I think it's a good segue to my question for Mr. Mittal now. That I mean, if you could articulate for me from a business standpoint, how do you view investing in responsible business conduct? How does it help a company enhance reputation, attract investment? You spoke about World Bank and IFC, and strengthen long-term competitiveness in a global market. What is the business case for responsible business conduct, if I may ask?
See, I will give you a simple example. Isuzu has globally, we supply almost 700,000 vehicles, and when we launch products in India, so obviously you do a due diligence with the competition, and obviously the products what we have vis-a-vis competition are much superior in terms of features, in terms of quality. Now if you compare a higher feature or higher quality product, then obviously price will be higher. So obviously how do you compete? So there are two choices. So either you bring down the spec or think alternative business strategy. So what Isuzu did is we decided to utilize localization where we don't deteriorate the quality. We keep the quality exactly the same. We brought down the price, but we realized that we cannot bring down to a level where we can compete with the local manufacturers. So we started supplying this better price vehicles to outside countries. And we maintain the Isuzu brand, Isuzu quality, little low cost, which is more competitive than where Isuzu was producing earlier. And we started supplying to global customer. We brought them to India because global customer also want to buy make in Japan products, made in Japan. So we showed them our factories, our practices, our processes. When they got confidence that we are exactly like Japan, the product we are producing is zero defect, they started buying. And today, as I said earlier, we have become the largest exporter of vehicles supplied from India to GCC countries, so or outside world. So any country, if you want to attract investment or if you want to be relevant, you have to understand your strength. You don't have to lose your strength in order to compete in a local country. At the same time, gradually learn the game of the business. So ultimately then, after becoming successful and profitable in India, now Isuzu is thinking how to make 100% make in India for India product, so that we can compete with the local competition. So a journey is a stepwise journey. You have to do it systematically, strategically, and then at a right stage, then you have to take the next step. Right. So that is how a global company also can become successful and become relevant, yes, without losing their own ethos and values. That is what
that's
we
a
have
great
learned
example of not compromising on your ethos and what you stand for in terms of safety, in terms of quality, and that becoming the biggest strength for attracting investment and attention of other global customers who once doubted that a Japanese car made in India couldn't match the Japanese standards. So that's a great case study to showcase that once you don't compromise on your quality and the quality of the product, one can be competitive irrespective of where it is. Thank you so much. Just in closing, because I also realize in terms of the time, I have one closing question where I want to invite perhaps even Angela and Mr. Shriyasi, if you have any insights, feel free to chip in. I won't force you guys. But what is the one priority, Nishant, if I may ask you to start this, for you as far as that can shape most effectively responsible, resilient, and inclusive supply chain for the two countries, India and Japan? If there was one priority that you wanted to identify, what would that be?
So, see, how I look at it is that Japan has certain inherent strengths and so does India. So, if I see that in terms of benchmarking and learning from the history, So not many people would realize that one of the reasons, again I'll take example of the automotive industry, why in Japan it prospered, because one of the reasons in addition to many others is that the internal market competition which was there in Japan. So the companies were so fierce and competitive that everybody had to raise the bar very high. And when they raised the bar so high, so multiple Japanese companies became extremely efficient, and as they say in Japanese, removing almost every muda from the system, and seeing that they are cutting edge and they had to be on their toes to be able to cater to their customers because their customers were so demanding. I think reaching to that level of excellence is something which is very critical and important, and having that mindset in India. So having a great market for us is fantastic, but having that mindset of competitiveness, that fierce competition, healthy competition, is something which would be the biggest game changer. And if you see in the space of IT or in certain other services, in manufacturing for multiple sectors, including automotive, which is close to 50% of the manufacturing GDP in India, there has been a phenomenal growth because but at the same time, it's important to see that what got us here will not take us there in the future. So we have to think differently, act differently to get different results now. And that's where technology and agility and versatility, which we are seeing, coupled with the kind of ethos which we have had in the last few years, I think will be the most important point. And how are we making our workforce ready? Like a Japanese person starting from a very young age and till a very old age, I think is very structured, very focused, very well planned, spending majority of their time in planning and lesser number of time in execution and making it perfect. So I think seeing that how we are making our workforce as productive and focused with that mindset, and how they are contributing to their last bit with full commitment and accountability, I think is something which will be a great cornerstone for the Indian economy, and that is something which we can definitely learn from Japan.
Right, the precision, the excellence. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mittal, do you have any concluding thoughts on this?
See, I will say that somebody used the word trust before. So what I found, since there is a huge difference culturally between Japan and India, it takes long time for Japanese people to develop trust. So in my opinion, in today's world, the partnership is the new leadership. And that is where a bit Japan need to change. They need to develop the trust faster, and they need to share their technology and processes faster. If they take so much of time, now competition is moving much faster. So if they take a lot of time in developing trust and sharing the knowledge and, trusting a partner, then the bus will get missed.
Right.
So I think one thing, if I would like to change, to develop trust faster. Choose your partner carefully, but once you have chosen a partner, then you believe that partner and work together faster so that you can succeed in this growing competition. That is one thing I would like to change.
Right. Thank you so much. Any concluding thoughts?
Well, today, a very good opportunity. I learned a lot. We Japanese think, it's common thing, but from the point of view, Indian point of view, it's really different. So that's one thing I learned. But today, I bit heard that good thing of Japanese companies, but we have that disadvantage. What are the challenges? That is, as you mentioned, that the speed, or that the innovations, or that so that or that the power of breakthrough is much superior for the Indian people. So probably those things should be complementary, or bring Japanese advantage and bring Indian advantage, and mix together or blend it together here and create good supply chain, or that or maybe those ideas might be developed to that ESGs also.
Yeah.
So yeah, today I learned a lot, and thank you very much for having this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Japanese excellence and Indian agility and adaptability and speed can make a great combination.
Thank you so much. I also learned a lot about Indian and Japanese companies, but what I learned is that there's a shared common commitment to seeing responsible business as part of a competitiveness strategy. So that is really at the core. And also what I take away from this discussion is that it's all centered on people. The leadership that will set the direction will make sure there's investment in this area, and I like the fact that you brought in technology. Which is so important, and will also look at the cost of actual compliance and bring this down. But I also like the fact that we looked at the fact that it's not just about putting systems in place, it's about people, it's about our incentives. And there might be different ways we could go around it. There's no single size that fits all, but it's really about changing the culture internally so that the systems are not seen as an add-on, but it's just something that becomes part of the culture, what is done. But I also like the fact that we brought in the part of the consumer, because as consumers, we're also demanding higher standards, and companies now have to also drive in that direction, not as a compliance issue, but to stay relevant to what consumers are asking for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela, for ending on that note. A huge thanks to all the speakers and panelists for a great 75 to 80 minutes spent. Thank you. I learned a lot, and big thank you to CII. And over to you, Swati. Yes.
Hello. Can we have a big round of applause for everybody, please? Thank you so much, Nusrat. Before closing, to honor and give respect to all the panelists on the stage, may I now request Dr. Angela Lusigi to please come forward and give away the token of appreciation to our panelists, please. First, I would like to invite Mr. Karu Shirashi, DG Jetro Chennai. Can we have big round of applause, please? Yeah, thank you. Next, Mr. Rajesh Mittal. Next, we have Mr. Nishant Arya. Our moderator for this session, Ms. Nusrat Khan. No. And now I would like to request Mr. Nishant Arya to give a token of appreciation to Dr. Angela Lusigi, please. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you so much. I request all the panelists to please come forward for a photo opportunity. Thank you so much. Now with this, we close the session and we will be moving on to the next session very soon, which will be starting sharp at 4:45. It's a country session on Saudi Arabia, please. I request all the delegates to be seated. So we will be starting the session in next 15 minutes, please. Thank you.